Are you new to gardening and looking for ways to grow your dream garden without breaking the bank? Today I'm sharing 10 practical, budget-friendly gardening tips that are perfect for beginners. Whether you're starting with seeds, upcycling materials, or learning to nurture plants, these tips will set you up for success. Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden. And before we dive in, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a fellow gardening friend. Okay, so one of my massive goals for 2024 was budget gardening, to really focus on a number of opportunities in order to lower the cost of gardening for myself at my house. And I loved it so much, and you all loved it so much, that I continued that goal into 2025, and I'm really trying to focus a lot of what I'm doing on my channel around budget gardening, because it turns out that gardening can be a very expensive hobby to have. Whether you're growing cut flowers and just trying to make beautiful space like I am, or even if you're growing vegetables for use in your own kitchen. With that in mind, I kind of just created this list of different ways that you can save money during gardening. And I really try to focus it on those of y'all who are beginner gardeners, because I think it's really hard as a beginner gardener to start watching these videos, seeing what's on social media, start researching, and feeling like you have to buy all the things in order to get started as a gardener, when that is not necessarily the case. Now, if you have all the budget, you want to buy all the things, buy all the things, enjoy, have a great time. But there are some of us who can't do that. So for those of us who are wanting to save a little bit of money, let's go through those 10 tips. And even if you're a seasoned gardener, some of these are really going to work for you, or you might be able to expand on them for some of our beginner gardeners in the comments. Okay, number one on my list is start seeds indoor with household items. So I grow tons and tons from seed now, far more than I grew 4 or 5 years ago. I pretty much bought everything 4 or 5 years ago, and then I started growing seeds, and it just kept going and going and going, and now I grow hundreds of plants from seed each year. Starting your garden from seed can be extremely cost effective, but also extremely fun. I really love the process of watching a seed go to germinate, to a seedling, to a small plant, getting transplanted out into my garden and growing into full fruition. I just love the entire process, and it brings me tons of joy. Okay, a few different things for seed starting indoors with household items. So you don't have to go buy all the fancy stuff. Even mine are pretty cost effective, but you definitely don't have to go buy fancy stuff at all. You can start with very simple things. You can skip buying the expensive seed trays. You can use egg cartons, yogurt cups, toilet paper rolls work really, really great. You can use takeout containers, plastic containers that your strawberries came in. Like, there's all kinds of things that you can use that are kind of already readily available in your house, and they're for free. A few simple things is you want to make sure you add drainage holes to the bottom of these containers, so that your seeds are not sitting in like sloppy, moist mess. And you want to fill them with a simple potting soil as well. You don't have to get fancy and buy all the seed starting mix or anything. Just a basic potting soil works really well. Okay, number 2 on my list is actually one of my own goals for 2025. So even though I've been gardening for well over a decade, this is something I really haven't spent a lot of time focusing on, and that is composting for free soil nutrients. So one of the things is, why spend the money on the expensive fertilizers when you can just create your own compost at your house? Now, I use a lot of compost every year. I don't think I can create enough compost for my entire garden, but I sure can create compost for a portion of my garden. So you can do things like turn your kitchen scraps and your garden waste into compost. You can use banana peels, coffee grounds, eggshells. You can set up small compost bins in your backyard. You don't have to buy a new one of those. You can find a lot of that kind of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. There's even ways to utilize wood pallets. You can get pallets for free. create your own compost sections there as well. I think I'm going to be doing a method where I'm using a large clear plastic storage bin is kind of what I'm thinking. I haven't gotten too far into that. I'm really hoping to kind of explore that more starting probably in April and May than right now. But you can set up these, basic compost situations, and then you will have compost to add to your containers, whether you're container gardening, raised beds, traditional garden beds that you might have out along your house. It can be used in so many ways, and that compost is free. Okay, number 3 on my list is swap plants with friends and neighbors. And I do this quite frequently with my friend Kristen. We don't necessarily swap plants, but she buys seeds and then I start all the seeds for the two of us, which is really, really great. And we kind of split. She's taking on the cost for the seeds. I'm taking on the time for creating the seeds because she doesn't have a lot of time. So it's a really good way to kind of split, the chores or the work regarding it, which I think is really good. You can join a local gardening groups, chat with neighbors. You can trade seeds, you can trade cuttings, or even mature plants. Like if you have a plant that you no longer like in whatever situation, you can dig it up and see if someone from your local gardening club would want it or would want to trade for it. There are also lots of local gardening shows or lots of master gardener associations in lots of different areas, and they will host plant sales, which tend to be very inexpensive and really feature a lot of native plants. Trading plants with others is just a really great way to expand your plant selection without a bunch of money. And one of the great things is in the fall, people tend to be dividing a lot of perennials. So that's always a really good time. But next time you're at a fellow gardening friend's house or you're chatting online, ask what plants that they might be dividing or getting rid of this upcoming 2025 year, and see if there's something that in your garden that you want to divide and that you can trade with them. But trading plants, dividing plants, trading seeds, it's just a really great way to get more free plants and seeds for your garden. Okay, number 4 on my list is use mulch to save water and money, which sounds weird, right? Because I'm saying go buy mulch to save money, which sounds super weird. But mulch helps your garden retain moisture, which means less watering and healthier plants. And healthier plants definitely means less money. I definitely run into a lot of people sending me messages, this died, this died, this died, this died. And while plants dying are part of the journey as a gardener, and for some of us, we kill a lot more than others, there are certain things that you can do to really help the health of your plant throughout all of your seasons. Okay, so for mulch, you absolutely can go buy traditional mulch at a big box store or your local nursery. You can also buy mulch in bulk. That is an option. I like to purchase from Living Earth, which is local to my area. You can also get a free chip drop. You just don't have control over where that came from, so you don't know if you're introducing different insects or termites or things like that into your garden. And if you're from the North Texas area, you know termites are an issue. So you can do all of those, but you can also take free mulch from other places within your garden. You can collect grass clippings, shredded leaves work really great for a free mulch as well. If you are cutting down a tree, you can chop that up you can get one of those mulchers and you can run it through there and have your own mulch from your own garden. But having mulch is really important, and I think that's something that I have avoided over the years, thinking that was an area that I could skip to save money, when in reality, it really helps build the nutrients in the soil, helps protect all of my plants throughout the hottest times of the year, and through some of the driest times of the year, which tend to be winter for me. And it's just a really great way to protect and keep your plants healthy. Now, mulch conserves soil moisture, prevents weeds, keeps your plants healthy, all while cutting down on water usage and costs. So just a really great way to save money. Maybe a little bit of investment in the beginning, but a big savings in the end. Okay, number 5 on my list is repurpose containers for planters. So you don't need to go buy all the fancy pots and planters to grow plants. You just need to get creative and really look at what the possibilities are out in the world, thrifting, stores, garage sales, but also within your own home. So look around your house, thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace, my favorite place, roadside finds for old buckets, crates, even old sinks. Very unique, interesting containers that can be turned into a planter. You just have to make sure that they have a drainage hole somewhere to let the water out at the bottom. But you'd be amazed what you're able to come up with if you just kind of think a little outside the box. I have always wanted one of those clawfoot tubs, bathtubs. I thought that would always be super cute. Someday maybe I'll have it. I'd love to have something like that for my garden and just fill it with beautiful annuals each season. I think would be lovely. I've seen people use dressers and drawers and all kinds of like buckets and colanders and all kinds of unique stuff that you can turn into a planter. I saw one recently, it was a toolbox, and I thought that was it was an old metal toolbox that they turned into a planter, and I thought, oh God, it was stinking adorable. It was filled with succulents. Just looks really, really fun. So definitely keep your eyes open. I am always looking for things on the side of the road. That is my favorite place to find stuff, and I show you guys when I find stuff all the time, random stuff. My mom says that I just show up at her house all the time with like, look what I found, would you like this? Quite frequently. And I love finding things on the side of the road that can be repurposed, you know, kept out of the landfill and turned into something beautiful for my garden. All right, number 6 on my list, and remember we are focusing on beginner gardeners, is to grow easy, fast-growing plants, things like herbs. Herbs are awesome and grow very quickly. You can grow basil, cilantro, parsley. They're perfect for beginners, and they grow quickly whether you're starting them from seed or whether you purchase the plant from a local nursery. Starting with easy to grow herbs is a really great way to kind of get yourself started in gardening. You can harvest from these herb plants multiple times throughout the season instead of like a one and done situation. They're really great for small spaces. If you have a smaller space, maybe you're doing patio gardening or you're gardening on your balcony or you have a small home with a small plot of land. But herbs are just a really great way to gain a lot of satisfaction quickly. Now you can also grow them inside. You can grow them on a sunny windowsill. You want to make sure that has as much light as possible throughout the day. So definitely something that faces either, I guess would say north or south. So it has consistent sun throughout the entire day. But you can definitely have a supply of fresh greens through multiple parts of the season throughout the entire year. I would definitely like to do a little bit more focus on herbs. I grow a lot of basil, but I would like to do some parsley. I'm about to do some winter sowing with some parsley. But I would like to do some things like that and grow more herbs so I can use them in my kitchen. Okay, number 7 on my list is to leverage sales at garden centers and local nurseries. So basically the idea of shop smarter by taking advantage of sales and discounted plants. And I don't know about other locations, but in the North Texas area, we quite frequently will come across sales, particularly at the end of each season, and particularly in the hottest times of the year, July, August, and September. You will see a lot of plants on clearance, especially at places like Tractor Supply, Lowe's does quite a few. I don't see as much of sales at my local nurseries, which makes total sense. But you know, July, August, September are great times to go get perennials that maybe they don't look, you know, super beautiful. But you can still get them planted and they will, you know, spend the fall and winter growing roots and building a system and come back for you in the spring with a big, beautiful, gorgeous plant. Typically, a lot of the clearance plants are gonna need some care. If I buy several plants that are on the clearance rack, I typically will set up almost like a triage for those plants where I keep them in a little bit of a shade. I keep them in water reservoirs where they can be consistently watered and fertilized, and I spend some time pruning, cutting them back in different places, and really kind of get them in a little bit healthier shape before I put them out into my garden. Typically at the end of the season, you can find a lot of deals on soil, tools, pots throughout all the season. A lot of the garden clubs or social media garden accounts that I participate with, they will post when there's different sales or clearances that they see, which I absolutely love because I love a good sale. Now, one way to leverage some of those sales is to once again go in with a friend. So perhaps you don't need a whole flat of annuals. Maybe you don't want 18 of them, but you want to split with a friend. So definitely look into a gardening friend who might want to split the cost of some plants with you over the years. Okay, number 8 on my list is learn proper watering techniques to save on resources. This is definitely something that I feel comes with time and that I wish somebody had talked to me about as a beginner gardener, because overwatering is a big waste. It's a big waste of our water resources, but it's a big waste of money as well. And overwatering can definitely lead to very unhealthy plants. So watering appropriately really helps in the long run for saving money as well. Okay, overwatering can lead to wasted water, unhealthy plants. You want to water early in the morning in your area or late in the evening, depending on your area, depending on evaporation. So, and during the hottest times of the year, in my particular North Texas area, it is best to water. I like to do either first thing in the morning or in the evening. Typically, I tend to lend myself a little bit more in the morning than the evening, but it really depends on if I've had consistent triple-digit temps for quite a while. When I get into those, a lot of times the plants are just so beat up by the end of the day that a good watering really helps them make it through the evening and be happy and healthy the next morning. A soaker hose or drip irrigation system can also save you money in the long run. They do tend to be a little bit pricey to get started. I always suggest with drip irrigation, which is what most of my garden is run on, is to build that a little over time. I did not go out and do all my garden at once. I did small section by small section by small section and added on over the years. So you don't have to go throw hundreds of dollars at drip irrigation right off the bat. Give yourself an opportunity to learn on an area. So start a small area, a raised garden, a small garden bed, laying out everything that you need for the drip irrigation, and do that area first. And then from what you learned there, you'll see that it's very easy to add on to that in the future. Now, we are talking about being budget conscious, but doing appropriate watering is also a huge time saver. I know lots of gardeners who absolutely love to go out there and water their plants. However, that's not necessarily something that is a big time saver. And if you're someone like me, I'm raising 3 kids and we are in the throes of all of that kind of stuff. And I don't have as much time to go out in my garden and hand water everything. So drip irrigation saves me a lot of time. Now, someday when my kids have moved on and I'm retired and I have more time, I would love to just go out there and hand water some stuff and enjoy the birds, enjoy the outside, and really spend more time with my gardening. But at this point in time, saving that time is really important to me. Okay, number 9 on my list is DIY trellises and garden supports. So you can easily make your own trellises and support them, supports using materials from your backyard. So I have actually done this several times, specifically with the willow branches that I have had to prune off my willow tree over the years. I've created several trellises and absolutely love that. You can also create little fences. There are lots of different things that you can do for trellis or supports for your plants. So you can use bamboo, tree branches, scrap wood are all really good. Old things like ladders are really, really good. You can find rebar, just kind of any kind of scraps that you kind of just see laying around, maybe on the side of the road, maybe at a thrift store or garage sale. Lots of different places where you can find something to work as a trellis. You can also add a personal touch by customizing a design to fit your garden's needs, whether you're whimsical and cottagey, whether you're more modern, whether you're quirky, whatever. You can kind of adapt those materials to better fit what you're looking for. And I think that creating things like a DIY trellis for your space really just kind of gives you more ownership of your garden space. Yes, I definitely do have some trellises that are metal and such. It's rare that I go out and buy that kind of stuff brand new. Most of the time I get it from Facebook Marketplace, my favorite place, or estate sales for gardening supplies. And I can, especially estate sales, I can get some really old, beautiful vintage things, beautiful vintage metal trellises that work great in my space. With that being said, having the time to kind of make something, even if it's only temporary, even if it's for a season, maybe you're not going to have it forever and ever, which is totally fine, but having the opportunity to make that really gives you ownership within your own garden. Okay, and number 10 on my list is research and plan better before beginning or planting. This is a huge thing. It makes me cringe a little bit to think how many times I didn't do the research, but I bought the pretty plant and I put it in my garden and it died within 2 weeks. Just because I didn't really research what the plant's needs were and how that would fit within my garden. So you want to plan before you plant to avoid costly mistakes and ensure your garden thrives. So we want to research the plants that grow well in your particular region or your zone. If you're not sure what that is, I'll put a website down below that you can go and look up what your particular growing zone is. You want to understand their needs for sunlight, water, and space requirements. I'm not going to lie, I'm the first to ignore space requirements quite frequently. I like all my plants to be like bunched in, like really tight, and I don't want to see soil. Like that's my style. I don't want to see the soil at all. I want plants covering everything. So I quite frequently ignore that. But you want to sketch out your garden. Just, you don't have to be an artist, just a simple layout of where you're going to put different plants, and to kind of give you an idea of like, hey, I'm going to put a big 3-foot plant back here, so everything in front of it needs to be shorter than 3 feet. Taking even just 10 to 15 minutes to do a little research, draw some things out, is going to save you a ton of money in the end. Now, you guys also know that I am very big about if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. If you don't like a plant there, dig it up and move it somewhere else. You're gonna make mistakes. I'm not saying that doing these things will prevent you from making any mistakes, but it's gonna cut down a little bit on some of the mistakes, and that's gonna be a money saver for you. All right, so all of y'all, which of these tips did you like the most? So tell me which one you think really works and applies for you. Which of these tips had you never thought of? And maybe it's something that you could do in your own garden. And do you have any additional ideas to save for new gardeners? Because that was the focus for today, really focusing on those new gardeners, talking about the different things that they might be dealing with as they're approaching, a garden for the first time or creating a garden for the first time. I definitely want to emphasize it's very easy to get wrapped up on social media, looking at everybody else's gardens and thinking, why doesn't my garden have that? Or maybe I need to buy that, or I have to do this because somebody else did it this way. That is not the case. There's a lot of flexibility in gardening. So what you need to do is try out some things little by little and build on it and figure out what works best for you. Just because what I'm teaching a certain way on my YouTube channel doesn't mean that that's the only way. There are lots of gardeners, which this is the best part of having a YouTube channel, is getting information back from other gardeners where they've tried this technique and it worked, or they did this and it did not work, or they're just approaching different things and sharing ideas with what we're all doing. It's so helpful. It's just this plethora of information, and it really helps me be successful in the future. So definitely, as a new beginner gardener, keep studying, keep watching videos, make yourself a nice little journal, kind of write down what you're thinking, even if it's written down or if you're typing it up on your phone or whatever. And good luck moving forward. Take your time, enjoy, and then in the end, if it doesn't work out, it's okay, because you learned something and you'll be a better gardener the next day. All right, you all, I hope you guys enjoyed video today. Make sure you drop comments below, and make sure you go through and read some of the other comments and see if people are asking questions, and if you have an answer for that question, that would be absolutely amazing. As always, make sure you like and comment on the video. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow my videos so much. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, just drop me an emoji below, letting me know that you made it to the end of the video and that you say hi. And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If TikTok ends up getting banned, you can find me on YouTube Shorts. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.